Okay. We are authority in Portugal that have the mission to control the compliance of labor legislation and related with work contracts. Every rights results from the work contract, and on OSH legislation, occupational safety and health, where this kind of matters that you've been speaking about it, and the legislation that is applicable in these specific sectors has impact in the health and safety of workers. That's because I'm here just to give the view of the workers, because in the previous presentation, I noticed that the concern, it's bigger, it's broader, about the consumers, the environment, and the specific role, the specific view of my authority is to promote better working conditions for the workers, the workplaces, and we do that through the compliance of labor legislation and OSH legislation also. And we have a lot of European directives regarding specific issues about the health protection of workers. And we have to expose all that directives. And how we do that? We, for one hand, and according to international standards, we have the mission and the role to inform. That's the methodology that we use. We inform employers, workers, the representatives, all the communities that have, and the actors that have a specific role, like this institute that investigate and research in this kind of projects that investigate these areas. And our specific goal, as I said, it's the health and safety of workers. So we have 32 local branches in Portugal. We are generalists. We have competencies in all sectors: transportation, agriculture, industry. So all sectors, we have this kind of competences. We have 32, as I said, 32 local branches, and we are about 500 labor inspectors. The labor inspectors are generalists. We have labor inspectors with degrees in law, in engineer, economics, because, as I said, we have competence in all sectors, in all workplaces. And my focus here today is speak about a little technology. As we know, technology is very fast. It's difficult for all of us to try to understand all the transformations. We are inspection that goes to the workplaces, speak with workers, and to see what are the irregularities. And we notice in the enterprises that the employers are very concerned with the productive process, with the layout, with the products. But it's very important to integrate this evolution, this technology in health and safety. When we are speaking about a workplace, we must think that there is a person that is exposed to chemical risks, physical risks, all psychological risks, and these risks interact with each other. So it's not enough to measure chemical risks. Of course, it's very important, but it's necessary to evaluate, to measure all these risks for the health and safety of the workers that they are there. We have in Portugal and other countries a high level of fatal accidents and very serious accidents, mainly in industry, not fatal. The fatal accidents we have mainly in the civil construction, but we have a lot of accidents and illness. And it's very important. It is one of our goals, prevent this kind of situations. And regarding illness, it's difficult sometimes to prove because we must have a cause and an effect. And sometimes we have years and years of a process in order to the illness can give evidence. So it's very important to study these and try to prevent and give to workers better working conditions. What we want to achieve, it's not only good working conditions, it's well-being, and companies and workers and in the world of work, we are our employers or workers must to adapt to the technology and try to integrate occupational safety and health in the decisions that are made. So when we go to enterprise regarding occupational health and safety, one of the own concerns, and we have general legislation, in Portugal, it's law 102, results from a directive to make a risk assessment of all risks, as I said, of course, in this specific area, including the use and handling of polymers, in order to identify hazards. It's mandatory, and we asked for that, and the enterprises must have health and safety services that provide this kind of work. So these risks, these agents, these risks must be identified, evaluated, and then it's necessary to adopt measures. Should be a report with all the measures that should be identified in order to prevent that risks. And it's not any kind of measures. These measures obey to a set of principles. In first line, it's necessary to eliminate the risk, and it's necessary to ask for, as you said, some a person said before, it's necessary to ask for the safety data sheet with all the information about the chemicals. It's very important. It's necessary to characterize the nature, degree, duration of exposure, and evaluate all of these. And as I said, take measures. And in the first, it's according to the European directive, this measure must obey to a set of principles. In first line, it's necessary to check if it's possible to eliminate that risk. And how we can do that? Substitute that product, substitute that equipment for less dangerous products. This is mandatory. Several employers say to us, okay, but the worker has a personal equipment. It's not enough. It's not legal. First, they should try to eliminate, to evaluate all the risks, combating in the source, reducing hazard materials, agents, and equipment, adapting the work to the worker and not the worker to the worker. We have some examples. We go to enterprise and they like, oh, okay, I buy this equipment at the German, but perhaps the pattern of workers, so German workers, they are taller, they have another measures, and it's not adapted to a specific profile of workers. So all of these must be measures and take measures for that. It's very important also to make the health surveillance. It's mandatory when a worker go to enterprise. It's mandatory to make this kind of monitoring of health, and then every 2 years, and workers with more than 50 years must be checked every year. So it's very important. It's very important also to give all the information to the worker and the training. The worker must know what he are doing, what are the risks he is exposed, and what kind of measures should be adopted in this situation. And this is, it's not me that I'm saying, this is in European legislation and our legislation in Portugal also, and the participation of workers. Most of the times, workers have solutions. They can give ideas about the work and how can be better to produce that thing they are doing. So just to give an overview, I'm not identifying all the legislation. It's very broad, and there are a lot of websites. We have legislation for chemical hazards that have interaction with REACH. It's Authority for Working Condition. It's not in the legislation as an entity that is responsible for the decree law that give execution to risks, but we have some specific this kind of legislation interact in some points with REACH because of the limit values of exposure. Legislation regarding carcinogenic, biological hazards, physical agents, because when we enter in the enterprise, in the most cases, we have all these risks there. We have biological risks, we have physical risks, noise, vibrations. We have working there vulnerable groups, and which are, if we are speaking about the pregnant woman, health surveillance must be different, and we have specific legislation in our regime regarding this situation, and young people also. Explosive atmospheres, workplaces, manual handling of loads, display screens, a lot of legislation, and all these kind of risks must be evaluated. Regarding occupational accidents, I can say that the number is very high. We had in 2024 140 fatal accidents communicated to authority for working conditions. Because we have the responsibility to investigate what are the causes of an accident, it's mandatory to communicate us. But these are not all the numbers, because we know that some enterprises communicate to the some insurance companies, and the numbers are higher than this. So in industry, as I said, the number of fatal accidents are lower than the civil construction, for instance, but the number is still high, and the industry, the majority are serious or non-serious accidents. Just to give an overview about what we do, as I said, we inform and we go to the workplaces. We are not the inspection that still stands in our office, control formalities. We go to the workplaces, we speak with the employer, check the working conditions, and we have a set of procedures that we adopt. And we visit per year about 50,000 workplaces. We adopt notifications to adopt measures when we go to enterprise and the situation are not okay. We adopt a procedure that we call notification to adopt measures to identify the situation, give a deadline to the employer, regularize the situation, because the employer, it's for us, for authority for working conditions, is the main and all is the unique person that is responsible. In European legislation, this is a clear rule. The responsible, oh no, I buy this, where I buy this, it not matter to us. The responsible for the good working conditions in a workplace, it's the employer. Then he can ask the responsibilities for the to somewhere else, but for us and for European legislation is the responsible. So we adopt this map. Of course, we apply sanctions. The sanctions and depends of the dimension of the enterprise. And we have another procedure that is work suspension. When we go to a workplace and there is dangerous for health and safety of the worker, we can suspend that work. And it's necessary to make measures. The work only resume when we will give authorization for that. So the principal infractions that the main subjects that we cover are regarding principles of prevention. As I said, the measures must be taken according a set of principles of prevention, and the personal equipment, it's the last one. The first one is try to eliminate health surveillance, OSH activities that enterprises, these kind of big industries normally have internal OSH services, but they can contract enterprise to do that. Regarding retraining and occupational accidents and diseases. And how we see technology for us, it's important, as I said, to optimize the risk assessment and to reduce, the main goal is to introduce the technology in the work process, but of course, in the risk assessment also. We have modern softwares to manage these OSH conditions, sensors for real-time monitoring, and we can reduce workers' exposure to dangerous environments, confined spaces, high noise levels, toxic emissions. There are a lot of technical solutions in order to reduce the exposure of workers to specific risks. Of course, this has, I'm finishing, of course, this have some challenge regarding data privacy, because if we are checking the behavior and specific personal data of that workers, and that is in the database, there are specific rules that must be observed for that. It's necessary to give, as I said, continuous training. It's very important. This is in our legislation. It's a main issue that we check when we go make these inspections. We have here some challenge regarding the resistance to change. We have workers since 18 to 67 years, and we must include all the workers. And the workplaces should be for all. And we must be aware that there are workers that can resist to such specific changes or have more difficulties, and this must be integrated for the enterprises in order to give in order to have a work environment. And new occupational risks. As I understand, I'm not a technician of this area. Every day we have new products, new process, and these new products and new process have new risks. They must be evaluated. So study the process, study the products, but also the impact that everything has in the health and safety of workers. Our legislation tried to adapt to this new reality, and the amendments that we have had to our labor code has impact on algorithms, artificial intelligence, all the criteria that are used according algorithms must be informed to the workers in order to ensure that we have situations of equality and non-discrimination. We try to, when we develop, we have a lot of tools in our website that the purpose is to help employers to comply with the law. We have technical scientific publications, leaflets, checklists. We are the focal point for the European Union OSHA that has headquarters in Bilbao. This European agency develop tools that allows the workers and employers, of course, to make some kind of self risk assessment. And we try to put all this information on our website. So we, from the perspective of Authority for Working Conditions, the main concern is use technology to protect workers. Try to impact in advances in prevention of work accidents and illness, and invest in training of workers, their representatives, and of course employers, because they manage and they are responsible for the working conditions in enterprises. So thank you.